Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. I am living off my phone's hotspot, so you won't see me as much right now. Thank you for joining us for today. Kyle's going to be sharing the presentation and giving us the information. Kyle is a super coach from PlayVS. Gosh, you've been with PlayVS probably since season 0.
From the very beginning.
From the very beginning. He's dipping his toes in the Smash realm now too. So he's going to be talking about how to do Smash practice. What will happen on my end is I'll be able to see who attended, and I will be pulling 5 random winners. I'll check that either you are enrolled for the fall 2020 season or your school is anticipating or planning to enroll. And then if that's true, then I will put you on our list to get our Smash bundle. So it'll be kind of a random draw for that part. This part of the meeting will be recorded and the chat will stay there as well. We should have Q&A rolled up too. You can upvote the ones you want to hear. And then if we have time, we will go over those. So I am going to hand it over to Kyle. Again, I apologize for the lateness and kind of the hodgepodginess of it. Kyle, if you want to share your screen, it should be on the bottom of your screen. Normally I go over how to do this before, but totally lost power.
Let's see here. I'm going to try it. Tell me if you can see it.
Perfect. And then, yep. And then if you want to hide your face, it might cover up part of the section. I've learned to not. You can remove your video by hitting the camera.
Hitting the camera? Where is that? Oh. Right.
All right.
Can you see me or no? How about that? Is that better?
I don't know if it's just me.
All right.
Uh-oh.
Does that work or no?
I don't know if it's me. Oh, I can see it now. Okay. So I think it's working.
All right.
I think you're good.
I'll start rambling away. How's everybody doing? My name's Kyle McGoffin. I'm a phys ed teacher and department coordinator at a school called Maher Regional High School in Orange, Massachusetts, which is rural Massachusetts. If Massachusetts can get rural, that's where I teach. I've been doing this since 2018. We started a esports league. One of the kids in the school was big into video gaming, and I kind of just approached him about esports, and it turned into everything I do now is esports. I've stopped coaching any traditional sports and focused solely on this. So I've kind of cannonballed in with both feet. So we're going to get going with this presentation. So welcome. Thank you for taking the time out to learn about Super Smash Brothers. I am a Super Smash Brother newbie, so to speak. We have always ran this as a kind of fun thing to do with the school with all the other kids that weren't necessarily on the esports team. And now that Nintendo is going through with offering this for high school students, we're going to take it to the next level. What I do for my practices, granted, we've only been doing this about a year. So, I mean, they still call me a boomer when I talk about Super Smash Brothers, but I've come a long way in a year. So hopefully I can bring some of you up to speed today. So one-on-one fighting match. It's one person from your team versus one person from the other team. 3 sets of 3 games, which means you play all 3 games. No matter what, 3 players are playing 3 games. It's kind of like a wrestling meet in the sense where, you have 3 players playing against 3 players from the other team. Whoever wins the most amount of matches wins. So let's say the first team goes 3-0. The other team, next game, it goes 0-3. The whole match is tied. It'll go on that last match. Whoever can win the best 2 of 1 would win the overall match. So the games are played on Wednesdays. For us in Massachusetts, it's 3:30. I think in the western area, it's more like 4 o'clock for you guys. And it's your basic fighting game. It's not blood and guts. It's not gory. It's just a one-on-one fighting game. It is played on Nintendo Switch. Each player needs an account. In my opinion, it's just to make sure that, if each player has an account, they can practice on that. They can do it on their own time. When you get into the arena for playing matches, you'll be able to see who each one of their 3 players are on the other team, so you know how to match up against your players. In order to play, you have to have a Nintendo Switch online membership. They're not super expensive to get, and most likely, if you are going to offer this at your school, your kids probably already have that. I come from a rural, low-income school, and a lot of times kids will get this over their lunch for the week. just to make sure that they have their online membership. So the kids will choose probably to have this already, if I had to guess. The DLC expansion packs are a way to get more fighters. So if you want to have your kids have the full array of fighters, it's not terribly expensive. And if they want to have it, most likely they already do. From what I've learned in esports, if I think the kids probably should have something, most likely they've already gotten it. So that's something to think about. At the bottom where it says Ethernet and wired connection, obviously you're going to get a better connection with a wired connection. There is an Ethernet adapter that you can buy for the Nintendo Switch into a wired connection. I would highly recommend using a wired connection just because where the arena is between lag time, because you don't know where your opponents are going to be, it's probably the best idea to have a wired connection. It's a little bit of money for an Ethernet adapter. It's not going to break the bank, but it will go a long way in your running a smooth program. So the overview of Smash, the game objectives is to think about it this way. You're on a floating island. Your goal is to knock the other player off the floating island. You fight, you start at 0%. Every time you hit the other person with an attack, they gain percentage points. When they get to a certain amount of percentage points, they lose what's called a stock, or basically a life. You play 3 lives. So as soon as they lose 3 lives, that round is done. You play a best of 3 rounds. There are a lot of characters. I wish I could say I knew how many characters there were, but I can't keep up with them. There's probably, if I had to guess, between 40 and 50 characters. All the characters have different roles. You have more attack-based characters. You have more defensive-based characters. You have more characters that are quicker. You have characters that are heavier. All those characters, just like any other game, they have advantages and they have disadvantages. So there's multiple areas for your kids to choose something. If they're more of a defensive style player, there's plenty of characters for them to pick that are that style. I have my kids try and get at least one character that they're comfortable with in various styles so that they can kind of counter pick against what the other team is picking. The game starts, the game phases. There's 3 phases: match creation, map ban and picks, and reporting of the results in terms of play versus. Match creation is super simple. They give you a game day outline on the PlayVS website when you start to play. It will tell you exactly how the arena is set up in terms of anything. And in the game, when you go into the settings, there's a whole bunch of settings you can choose. It goes list by list. You can go right down the game day guide to pick up the arena. I have my captain take care of setting it up for them. It's no brainer just to breeze through and figure out what everything needs to be. So I put that kind of on the captains to do. But PlayVS spells it out black and white in their game day guide. Map ban and pick. So best thing I could say is there's different levels, so to speak. And there's 5 different stages, which they call the tournament ready stages, or the tournament applicable stages. And there's a pick and ban, almost like in League of Legends, where if you're more comfortable on one stage, or if your character does better on stages that don't have kind of platforms above the fighting area, you could pick certain stages. Like I said, the kids are pretty consistent with this. Last year we used Discord via the other team in order to have live pick and bans, and that was a pretty cool experience just to do that over a voice account, so you can actually talk to the player on the other side. So that was pretty cool. Reporting results is super simple. At the end of every round, I have my kids take screenshots of what's on the screen, and at the end, we report the results back to PlayVS in order to have them put it into the system. The best thing you can do is take screenshots of everything. Your kids know how to do it. You can do it. If they're on campus, they were home last year for us, unfortunately. But now that they're in school, I'll be behind them taking a picture with my camera so they don't even have to worry about it. And it's really important to get photo evidence. It's not that other teams are going to cheat, but it's just really nice to have your body of evidence of exactly what happened so you can report the results and it's accurate in the system. Player accounts and rank. Every player has to have their own account. Account sharing is not something that is very tolerated or accepted. We like kids to have different accounts so we know who we're playing against, and that when we're playing in our matches, we know that it's not the same person playing 3 people instead of 3 different kids. Key vocabulary in Super Smash Brothers: combos, smash attacks, specials, and recovery. I'm not going to read that to you. You guys can take a second to read it if you like. It basically says that if you think about it in this game, it's a floating island. You're trying to knock that person off the island. There's up attacks, there's down attacks. So if you can jump in the air, you can attack as you're jumping down. You can up attack, you can attack as you're jumping up. think about it hitting the person and juggling them in the air. If you can keep them in the air longer and keep running attacks on them, you increase the amount of damage you put on them. If you can continuously have like a combo, which is the first one, a combo of attacks, that ups the damage that you can do to this player. The smash attack is a special attack. It's like Mortal Kombat when they used to say finish him, and you had that special attack that would automatically kick him off the stage. Smash attacks are usually in form of short range, making really melee. They do a lot of damage, and they are a lot of times can send a player off the stage. Specials are those one-of-a-kind moves. It's the B button most of the time. I remember one of my kids plays Little Mac all the time, and it's the KO punch. So as soon as he gets a certain amount of combo attacks in, all of a sudden KO starts flashing in red and yellow on the screen, and then he kind of waits with his uppercut, and when the time comes, he uppercuts them, and off they go off stage for the knockout, which is a loss of life. Which means that when they play on the stage, they have a floating stage, two players fighting. If they knock, if they're up in the air fighting and all of a sudden they knock them off the stage, there's the way to kind of float back or use a recovery move to get back on the platform. Some, like in here, it says Kirby has no problem floating back. You can hit the button, all of a sudden Kirby starts floating back to the stage. Other one, it's more of a quick jump back to the stage and get back up. But that's the different kind of recovery tactics that each character has. And each character has a different recovery tactic. Each character has a different smash attack, specials, you name it. Every character is unique. Punish. So reading is very important. That term is really great because that's one thing that I struggle with. I didn't understand why my kids were just sitting in a crouch position, defense up, just getting pummeled. I mean, they weren't taking any damage, but they were just sitting there because they were waiting for the other player to make a mistake. They were waiting for the player to choose a certain move that they knew that there would be lag time between when they started that move and when they could attack. So that was something I didn't understand, but I learned that it just takes time. It takes time to understand who you're playing against. It takes time to understand what that other character is all about and how long they take to do certain moves, and that way you can use their moves against them, which is the delay, which is the next one. I haven't seen this before, this sort of section, so the fact that I'm talking and it makes sense is a real kudos to me, and I'm proud of myself. So each player has a different amount of delay after landing on the thing. So every time a player has a move, there's a certain delay afterwards that you can punish that if you understand how the delay fits your character's fighting style. Let's see. Next one we got match day. So this is like I talked about the match creation. This is what exactly is shown in that game day protocols. The game style is stock. All that means is the game style is lives. You have 3 lives. Those stocks is basically a live. Time limit is 8 minutes, which means if all those 3 lives done in 8 minutes, it's going to be over. The final smash meter is off, damage handicap off. Those are basically just settings in the game that you set off. Match format, 3-game set, which means you play all 3 games. Team A, player 1 versus player 1. And on the Play Versus website, that's all laid out so you can know exactly who you're playing. Usually when we got in the Discord to start, we'd say, hey, my player 1 is Max versus your player 1, which is who? And then they would say who their player 1 is. My player 2 is Ben, their player 2 is whoever, my player 3, so on and so forth. So we knew exactly who was playing who and in what order. So my practice schedule for Super Smash Brothers, I make it pretty clear to the parents that when I have them practice at school, because when we before COVID, we were every day in the computer lab. Last year was a little tough because they were home, but now that they're back in school, we will practice Monday through Thursday from about 2:30 until about 4:30. So we go about 2 hours. Game days on Wednesday, so basically Monday, Tuesday will be practice days. Wednesday will be game day. Thursday is usually a VOD review where we'll watch the replays of the matches from the day before and see what we can do better, what we can improve on, and what we did well. We practice for 2 hours. I tell the parents I don't expect them to play when they get home. I think 2 hours a day for these kids to really take it seriously, and if they're focused on using that 2 hours well, I think it's pretty much all they need. I know most of my kids have homework and other stuff like that, so I try and make sure that I make it clear that I don't expect them to play it after school for 2 hours, go home and play for another 2 hours. 4 hours of video games in an afternoon is a little much. So I try and make sure I get that home to the parents that, what they do at school is probably plenty good enough. Setting player team goals. I have every player set a goal. I come from a traditional sports background. I coach football. I coach track. I coached baseball, you name it, I've probably coached it. So goal setting and realistic goal setting is super important for me. If it's not just winning and losing, it's just getting better at the game, especially for some of my guys who are young. So it's very important for them to set goals that are achievable, but not out of the realm of possibility. I want them to push themselves, but not be disappointed if they don't reach those goals. Team goals is the same thing. We sit down as a team and try and figure out what we want to do as a team and what we want to accomplish as a team. Character analysis. This is an important one. It's one of the ones that I'm still learning because I don't play the game every day like these guys do. I don't know what the meta picks and what the top tier picks are. So I kind of rely on the guys that are playing every single day and, that watch the pros and watch the Twitch streams so they can become better. Do the character analysis. So basically what the character analysis is every character in the game has an advantage and a disadvantage. And it's really important to find characters that have multiple advantages, multiple disadvantages. So sometimes I'll have kids make sure that they are comfortable with a character that's a little more tanky, that's not going to get knocked off the stage as much, it's a little heavier. I'll have them be confident in a character that's maybe more high flying, more attack oriented, just so in the event that they are playing in a match against somebody and somebody, if the other person's always playing tank, what they can do to counteract that tank. It's just like any other sports team. If their basketball player can't go right, you got to make sure that you are well enough to force him to go right to make him struggle. It's the same kind of concept here. You might not know based on scouting what your opponent's going to do. So a lot of this has to be done on the fly in between, match one and match two, even in between lives, you have to figure out, all right, this guy's playing more. He's edge guarding, which means he's guarding the edge of the stage so he can't fall off. You need to know how to counteract that in game. So it's a lot of it is critical thinking and quick thinking that comes with practice. It comes with telling the kids, all right, today you're just going to focus on this guy. You're going to focus on Little Mac. You're going to play Little Mac the whole time. Or you're going to play Kirby the whole time, and we're going to work on recoveries the whole time. So a lot of it is just character-oriented of making sure they're comfortable on multiple characters, not just one main, and that's all they play. And if the other person has a character that counteracts that, they're going to lose. We don't want that. We want them to have different options. More ideas, practicing different maps, characters, and scenarios. Same thing. There's 5 legal stages that they can choose from. Those stages, have advantages and disadvantages to each character. If you have a character that's heavier, you don't really want a lot of ledges around, so they can be up above you and you're just a sitting duck. So a lot of that just has to come with playing the game and playing your characters within each map scenario. You can start 2 stocks down and try working on coming back after 2 stocks. I had a player last year who, after he lost 2 stocks, he would just self-destruct. He would jump off the stage because he said, I'm already down 2 stocks. There's nothing I can do. So we had a lot of time last year working on, mentality of if you're down 2 stocks, you're not out of it and how to work back from that. And that was a lot of stuff that we did in practice. So VOD review, that's something we do on Thursdays. There's replays in game that you can save. I have a streaming deck that I do so I can stream our matches. I also do it so I can record our matches. It's hard to stream on Nintendo Switch if you don't have a video card capture because of the way Nintendo Switch is set up. But if you get one of those, I use one called Elgato, and it's just a card that plugs into my USB port and it plugs into the Switch so I can record them and or stream them. A lot of the times in the moment, the kids are so focused on what they're, I like to listen to it where I watch my kids play, but then I can hear my other kids in the Discord and they're kind of watching what's happening so they can give their feedback. And it's interesting to hear what the other kids say because I don't pick up on what they say nearly as quick as the other students do. So it's a great time to sit back the next day after everything's kind of settled down and the dust is settled and figure out what happened. Why did they become vulnerable? What did they do to make themselves vulnerable? What they could have done better? And it's just a great time just to self-reflect for them and have the team kind of come together. And, it's always done in a critical thinking mind and egos are kind of set aside just to accept criticism if they didn't do well and there's things they can do better. It's a learning experience for them to say, you know what, I messed that one up. I got to do better at that. And for one of their, teammates to say, hey, I think you messed that up. I think you can do better. I think there's a communication and a teamwork thing that strengthens by them doing that. The pro content creators, this one is not my expertise. I don't really watch much outside of my kids at school. I'm sure if I got my kids on here, they would tell you anyone they want. for me, when I first started learning like League of Legends, I would just watch as much as I could. I didn't understand really what was going on at first, and the more you watch it, the more you kind of start to understand the gameplay. You may not understand the characters at first, but at least you'll understand the concept of gameplay. I wish I had more for you on that one, but I don't. So resources here, I think Mel has them printed out here. They are the rule book, and these are all hyperlinks for me. I'm pretty sure she'll probably send this out to you guys later so you can get a look at it. But basically, it goes through the rule books, the protocols, the actual rule book for Super Smash Brothers, what the support is. The PlayVS Discord. The PlayVS Discord is a phenomenal resource for new coaches. What I've found is that esports coaches love to give back. They like to talk about esports. They like to go over what worked for them, what didn't work for them. It's a very open community. I think because esports, I say it's new. It's really not new, but it's bigger now. So I think that it's a great resource for new coaches who have questions to ask questions with other new coaches and or experienced coaches. I've been doing this for 3 years, and I still go on the coaches chat Discord every day just to see what's going on, if there's anything I can pipe in at. The coach's handbook is in there as well as the coach chat playlist. And these coach chat playlists are really cool. I like listen to them just to listen what other coaches are doing. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to take everything they say or what they say is gold, but it's really nice to hear other opinions of what other coaches are doing, what's successful for them, and what maybe not as successful to them. So I'm going to stop sharing. I kind of whizzed through that, but I feel like hopefully you guys got something out of that. So I'm going to get out of here. All right. Can people hear me? You all good? If you have questions or anything and you would like to type them in the chat, I will do my best. I don't know if Melanie's still here or not. All right, I'm going to go through some of these Q&A here. All right, let's see here. How to go about getting a Nintendo Online account for the school? Do they all connect through our school account? And does that unlock DLC for them during the season? Do we need separate accounts for our players? I do separate accounts for every player. They're not terribly expensive. The kids probably already have them. If your school is requiring you to do it on their own, that's something up to you guys. Our school does not require the school to pay for it, so the kids just use their own accounts. The DLC, if you want to buy those characters that are in the DLC packs, it is cheaper to just buy the DLC packs than it is to individually buy those fighters. So if you want to have a full roster of fighters, it is cheaper to buy the DLC packs than it is to try and buy those individually. Let's see. Do you have to have 3 players on team for Smash? Why can't we have just one student? Yes, you have to have 3 players. That would be like having a bowling team and having one person be really good and bowl for all the people on the team. It's not really a team. It's just one person bowling for 3 people. That's kind of the way it's a team sport. So that's the way they do it. So it has to be 3 people. Plus, if it's supposed to be 3 people and you're trying to get by with one, when it gets to the state finals and you have to be on stage with your 3 kids, I don't know if you have cloning technology, but it will be pretty difficult to have 2 other people on stage with them. How many times a week do most teams practice? I can talk about myself. We practice 4 days a week with 1 game day. So I give them Fridays off just as a little break. If you want to do it every day, you want to do it every other day, it's up to what you want your program to be. 3 matches take place simultaneously. We do it one after another. The matches are only 8 minutes long, so we don't do them simultaneously. Also, last year we were all at our own places, so it was easier for me to keep track of them if they were going one at a time. I think it builds a little more suspense if you're watching each kid play. If 3 of them are playing at the same time, you can't really see what's going on all 3 matches at once. So it's good for us to do it one at a time. Some leagues have point system for Smash Brothers. How do you track wins at PlayVS? Mel, do you want to chime in for that? Are you here or Bob? If not, I can just keep going. Let me check the chat here. If you have more than 3 players, do you create multiple teams? Yes, you can create as many teams as you want. Sorry, I'm just going through the chat here because they didn't pipe in. Yes, you can have as many teams you want. I had 1 last year. I probably have 2 or will have 2 or 3 this year. Can all players log into one Nintendo Switch? That's what I did. I had when we did it in school, I had all the players log into Switch and then log different accounts when they were done with their match. We practice Monday, Thursday. I take Friday off myself. Good, Mr. Tillman. I like that. You got to take some time for yourself. You don't want to get burnt out. Let's see here. Try to see what else we got for questions. What type of warm-ups competition should I be setting up for my team? We couldn't do tournaments. So there is a company that just came out called Group, GWOOP, and that's what I've been using a lot of for training. It's different activities. You can do keyboard, mouse. You can do controller. It's reaction time. It's memory. It's that kind of stuff. It's all geared towards competitive gaming and working out towards that. I know there are a lot of companies out there that are doing things like that in terms of training for esports. So there's certainly things to look into like that. I also do physical fitness training just because I'm a phys ed teacher and I'd feel remiss about myself if I didn't. So our kids do go exercise at least once a week, twice a week. Sometimes they'll go out and just walk, jog. We do yoga. We try and stay as physically fit as we can, not just sitting at a computer all day. Let's see, do you have supplies given to the kids? They bring their own, like controllers and stuff. So we are just starting out, and before I went and bought Nintendo Switches for $400 a piece, I wanted to make sure I had the interest to do that. So I have the kids bring their own. I have a couple extra controllers that I've had donated back from the system from former students who want to support the program. So I have a couple GameCube controllers that I have, and I also have some more of the Switch controllers that we use. But now that I know I have a good group of kids that we're gonna young and keep growing, I'm gonna try and either fundraise or get the school to pay for a couple Switches for the team. What was the company called for training? Group, GWOOP. I'll put it in the chat. I make my plans full page, they're not portable. To keep teachers, and I couldn't justify PlayStations. All right, let's go back to the Q&A. Can players play from home? I believe the play from home is over this year now that most schools are back in person. I personally would much rather have the kids in my computer lab than at home. It's just nice to have them in front of me, and then I can see what they're doing and not necessarily just screen share and watch what they're doing. So I think the more you can have the kids in front of you, the better off they will be. Thanks, Scotty, for putting that in there. All right. Does anyone have any other questions that I can go over? Questions about something esports related? Do you use a family account for your Switches? I do not, Robbie. I haven't really actually looked into that because my kids already have their own. But if that would work, I'm sure that would probably be cheaper if you did a family account. But I don't know how that works, to be honest with you. That's a good question, though. How are wins tracked for PlayVS? Last year it was fairly new, so I don't know if they had what they want to do up and running last year. It tracked on the PlayVS website in terms of wins and losses of what player had wins and losses against the other team. I don't know if they're changing that for this year. I don't know if anyone from PlayVS is on here to kind of articulate that. If Bob or I think Melanie's gone. I don't know off the top of my head what they're planning this year. We just started school today, so I haven't really even logged into my PlayVS yet to kind of get this year rolling. Trying to think if anyone has anything else. We have more than 3 kids trying. Do we create multiple teams? Depends on how many kids you have. If you have 7 kids and you're able to have 2 teams and a sub that kind of floats. Last year we weren't, because Smash had kind of got accepted into PlayVS right at the last minute for Massachusetts. We weren't able to have subs, so we had 3 guys on our team, and that was it. I'm hoping this year that we can have subs and that there will be plenty of other teams to play against. But I would say if subs are allowed, have a sub, because inevitably you're going to have a kid flake on you and match day, and you're going to be up the river without a paddle with only 2 kids. Theoretically, if you had 2 kids, you could still play the match, and if both of those won 3-0, 3-0, you would win the match, because the other one would go 0-3 and the games would be 6-3. You would win. That's very it's a slippery slope. I mean, I had 2 kids on my team that were very good, one that wasn't very good, so most of our matches were 6-3 or 6-2 because they won them all. So if you have more than 3 kids playing and there's subs, make sure you have subs. That's the best thing you can do. Can you reiterate what a match is? So a match is 3 players on one team against 3 players on the other team. Each player 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3 on the other team. Both 1s play each other. Both 2s play each other. Both 3s play each other. They play a best of 3 series, but you play all 3 of them. It's not like if you win the first 2, you're done. You play all 3 no matter what. You play 3 lives. So the first game, you play 3 lives each. First person to lose all 3 lives loses. That person won the first match. You have a second one and a third one, and the best 2 out of 3 wins that match, and then player 2 would play player 2 from the other team. Same concept, player 3 plays player 3, and you play all 3 matches no matter what. So if you win the first 2, that third match is still happening even if you've already won the first 2. Are online matches conducted from at each other's friend codes? Yes. That's how we did it last year. It opened the PlayVS Discord server, populated its own server for each team for Discord, so we were automatically linked to the other team in a Discord, and all the information was right in that Discord. So we didn't have to go anywhere but Discord to get all the information on the friend codes. The coaches from the other team were imported there as well, so it was a one-stop shop for us to be able to communicate with the other team. Any other questions? I know I'm bombarding you with a lot of information, but Smash is not a difficult game to jump into. I would say it's much more simpler to figure out than League of Legends is, and that's what I started with. So to get through that, I'm pretty sure that you guys can get through Super Smash Brothers. It's a pretty healthy player pool to choose from. Even my school is 600 kids, 7 through 12, and we do our Smash tournaments over the summer, and we were doing it before this became a thing. I was having 14 or 15 kids from all those grades. You don't consistently show up for tournaments. So there's definitely people out there that play Smash. There's definitely kids in your school that play Smash. Let's see, any other questions that I didn't answer? If so, please type them in the chat there. I see. Is there a season start date? Every season, Massachusetts and Arizona, we're a different start date, but I think they've pushed that back now to the normal start date. But most everything starts by October. Signups begin. I think you can register right now for the fall season. How would it work if you only have one Switch for 3 players to share? So what you would do is you could have one person log into that Switch under their account. They play, if that was player 1 logs in, play against player 1 from the other team. When they're done with that match, they simply log out of the Switch. They reload Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, log in under that number 2 player's name, and they can use that Switch. It'd be great in the Discord just to say, hey, we got a Switch information on the Switch. We'll be back in 2 minutes. And that way the other team knows what's going on, and you have an open line of communication with them. So during the match, do you have 3 switches, or you can all 3 join one system? All 3 can join one system. Like I told Emily, a lot of times, if you have multiple kids in the arena, sometimes it can create lag if you have a lot of people logged into that arena, just because it's a lot of information going through there. So sometimes we make sure that we only had one person in there to watch, to stream from, to kind of spectate the match. But most of the time, all you need is one person in there for each of them. Correct, Robbie. Thank you. All right. That's all the information I have for you. Melanie lost. I was joking with Melanie before we got on. I said, I'm having some thunderstorms in Massachusetts. So if I lose power, I have a generator. And just about 6:50, she texted me and said that my power was out. She was trying to run it on a hotspot. So I don't think that worked out too well for her. So I think she is going to, well, she said she will get a copy of who was here, because I know there was a giveaway kind of related to this. But if you do have any questions for her, please reach out to her. She's super quick about responding to emails. I know she was bummed that she was frantically trying to get on without any power at her house. And if any of you need information from me, you can email Mel. I am certainly a resource for you to come to if you have any questions outside of this, or something I didn't answer, or something you were confused about. Please feel free to shoot me an email. I will put it in here so you have it if you would like to reach out. So thank you again. Appreciate your flexibility with the power issue. I promise things go smoother like this with PlayVS. This is an anomaly. So thank you very much, and hope everyone has a great night. Correct, Tim. It does take a little bit, but it certainly isn't the end of the world. It's not like a Madden game that's going to take 20 minutes. It's minute things. A football game lasts a couple hours. This, even at its longest, is probably only going to be 40 minutes. So switching it doesn't take more than a minute or so. But yes, ideally, if perfect world and a perfect budget, you'd have 3 switches and you wouldn't have to worry about it because they'd all be docked and good to go on their own. So you are correct in that aspect.